Uh, well, I mean, that's kind of a loaded question. I think, there was a lot of things that transpired. This wasn't, a draft day thing, This was, started with a conversation in February at the season ended. And I just expressed, my desire to be more involved in conversations that directly affected my job. Also, I wanted to help the organization maybe learn from them some of the mistakes in the past, in my opinion, about the way that some of the outgoing veterans were treated, and just the fact that we didn't retain a number of players that I felt like were core players to our foundation, our locker room, high character guys. I'm talking about Charles Woodson, Jordy Nelson, Julius Peppers, Clay Matthews, Randall Cobb, James Jones, John Kuhn, Brett Good, TJ Lang, Brian Balaga, Casey Hayward, Micah Hyde, guys who were, exceptional players for us, but great locker room guys, high character guys. Many of them who weren't offered a contract at all, or were extremely lowballed, or were, maybe in my opinion, not given the respect on the way out that guys of their status and stature and high character deserved. And then it kind of progressed from there into a commitment for the 2021 season and beyond. That really wasn't given at any time. So for me, I had to assess the situation, not necessarily wanting to be a lame duck quarterback, especially after an MVP season, which I think you can understand. And then the other part in February was wanting to be a part of conversations involving free agents, which has never happened in my career. I've trained with a number of NFL guys most of my career in the off seasons. My agency, Athletes First, has had a number of high draft picks over the years. I've tried to pass along information. Hasn't really been used, shall we say. So I wanted to offer up my services as a recruiter, and I think we can all understand, Green Bay isn't, a huge vacation destination. People are coming here to play with me, to play with our team, and knowing that they can win a championship here. And the fact that I haven't been used in those discussions was one I wanted to change moving forward. And I felt like based on my years, the way I can still play, that should be a natural part of the conversation. As that progressed from that point, nothing really changed on that front. So we got into March, and the conversation changed. As I felt like if you can't commit to me past 2021, and I'm not a part of the recruiting process and for agency, if I'm not a part of the future, then instead of letting me be a lame duck quarterback, if you want to make a change and move forward, then go ahead and do it. That obviously didn't happen. Like I said, it wasn't a draft day thing. There were conversations for a number of months leading up to that. Post the draft, I think what basically happened was then they said, we'll give you some money now. Let's see if we can throw some money at you. I said from the start it wasn't about the money. Obviously, I didn't show up for the off-season program or mini camp. To me, it was bigger than this. It was about trying to be a resource for the organization that I care about and love so much. So when the money came at me, the other part is, the backstory to that is, after the season, there was a part of me that did think that there would be conversation about an extension. Based on my cap number this season, next season, it seemed natural based on the way I played to at least have a conversation about it. It wasn't a conversation, not until into May. And that to me seemed like an analogy that you guys understand. You guys have a fantastic year at work. You write some great stories. You go to your boss and say, I just had an incredible year. I think I deserve a pay raise or some security. And the boss says, let's just see how it goes. A couple months down the line, You get another job opportunity, you go back to your boss and say, hey, I got this amazing job opportunity. And we say, whoa, 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 no, we love you. We do want you to stick around. We do care about you. Just have the same feeling, and so, I said it wasn't about the money, and the way that felt, kind of just doubled down on that. Nothing really changed throughout the summer. There were obviously some developments in the last week or so, but I was really working on myself and my own mental state throughout the summer, and at various points deciding if I wanted to even keep playing. But the fire still burns, and I wanted to be on a football team, and we got some things figured out in the last few days, and I'm here.
So along those lines,
Let's go one at a time. Y'all get a chance.
Does the Randall Cobb move, is that, not that's the answer, but does it show you that there's a step in the right direction from the organization's part to listen to you and respect your thoughts on personnel?
Well, look, I'm really excited Randall's coming back. He's obviously a dear friend and a guy I still believe in that can really play. He falls into that category that I mentioned earlier of guys who left here, who were high-character guys. It's the desire that I've talked about before to finish as a Packer. That's always been really important to me. And it's important to those guys as well. The guys I mentioned, I talked to the majority of them this offseason because I wanted to hear their experience and how they felt leaving the team and the way it went down. So I had all the information. And I think there's a sadness underneath it all. Obviously, there's a sadness when your career ends, but a sadness that things went down the way they went down for a team that they cared about and loved and put their bodies on the line for so many years. So to get Randall back is really special. It's something that I talked about back in February, wanting to bring in a true slot receiver. I thought would make our offense more dynamic, and I think Randall's a dynamic player. He has been when he's been healthy.
Aaron, was there a point over the last few months when you seriously considered retirement for this? You might have, and at what point did you change your mind and decide to actually come back?
Yeah, that's definitely something I thought about. I talked about how important being a full-timer was for a long time. This was the first time to spend the off-season away without a COVID year or a lockout year. And I enjoyed it. I really did. I took time working on myself and trying to better myself in a number of areas where I feel like I could improve based on my own patterns and conditioning. And it was a lot of growth in that process. I continued to find joy and happiness in things off the field. However, there's still a big competitive hole in my body that I need to fill. And as I got back into my workouts, I just realized that I know I can still play, and I want to still play, and as long as I feel like I can give 100% to the team, then I should still play.
Do you expect to be a Packer next year, and what would it take for you to be one next year?
Yeah, I really don't know. I mean, I think things are in that direction haven't really changed at all. I think I'm just going to focus on this year. There's a lot of moving pieces besides myself, expiring contracts for a number of guys, so there's going to be a lot of tough decisions at the end of the year. I'm just going to enjoy this year and then revisit that conversation at the end of the season.
Aaron, you said many times and you reiterated it's always been your goal to finish your career as a Packer. Do you hope that this progresses to a point where you feel all right with that moving forward? You said focus on this year, but do you still stand by what you said year after year that you want to finish with that?
I did, but as you recall, I said last year that there's some things that might be out of my hands at this point. And, based on them drafting my replacement, J-Lo last year, I think that kind of put things in motion. Based on the way the season went last year, there was nothing in last season that made me confident that I'd be back after 21 and maybe even not after 2020. Thought we could progress some of those conversations with maybe a greater commitment during the off season. Like I said, that really didn't happen, but that's why I just have to focus on this season. And I love this team. I love the fans, and the opportunity to play on Lambeau Field has been a dream come true. To be in my 17th season is really special. I don't take that for granted. I'm not a victim here at all. I just want to reiterate that. Like, I've been paid a ton of money by this organization. I'm so thankful to be a starter here for my 14th season. Not many guys have the opportunity to do that. So I don't feel like anything's been done to me. It's a business. it's an incredible opportunity to play this game. It's a tough business too, though, and this is part of it. So I totally get that point, and that's not lost on me. That's why I'm just going to enjoy this season like I did last year, have the right perspective, and then make decisions at the end of the season.
Okay, Aaron, help me with the recall on this. We came in here, I think it was 2018. Kirk Cousins had got his deal, and Matthew got his deal. And so these guys were asking you, hey, and you said, it's going to come. Not concerned about the money. But I thought I remember you saying, I'm looking for is a partnership. Is that accurate? Because it wasn't long after that you got the deal. And then 6 months later on a Monday, they said that they called you on a golf course and said, it's Matt LaFleur, why don't you talk to him? Is that the kind of thing you were talking about, and did it fade away after that?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't call that a partnership, that part of it. I mean, I wasn't involved in those conversations at all. I had talked to Matt after the deal had already been in place to hire him as a coach. So I wasn't part of that conversation. Let's just make that completely clear. I do love Matt, and we've had a blast together, and I'm glad he's here. But it's decisions like that have happened over and over and over again that make me realize that the organization looks at me and my job is just to play. In my opinion, based on what I've accomplished in this league, the way I care about my teammates, the way I show up in the locker room, the way I lead, the way I conduct myself in the community, it should tie myself to a little bit more input. The rules, are the same for most people, but every now and then there's some outliers, guys who've been in an organization for 17 years and won a few MVPs, where they can be in conversations at a different higher level. I'm not asking for anything that other great quarterbacks across the last few decades have not gotten. The opportunity to just be in conversation. So if you're gonna cut a guy who, based on a meritocracy, was our second best receiver in training camp last year for the majority of camp, maybe run it by me, see what I feel. I might be able to change your mind. But at least to be in a conversation makes you feel like you're important, you're respected. And that's what I tried to convey in February and for the first couple months. But no, it hasn't been that. That's just the way they do it. I don't necessarily agree with it, but objectively, there's been a lot of success here over the last 30 years. I just wanted to be a little bit more involved, and I understand that that's not the way it went.
So, Aaron, did you not get any of those? I mean, all these things are reasonable things to want to be. Any of these things, did they give you anything or say anything like, yeah, we're going to do this, or is it just the same as it always was?
I'm not sure, Rob. At this point, I can only say one of the things was to be involved in free agency. Because just talk to Preston Smith, why he came here and why he actually took a pay cut to re-sign. He knows that we got an opportunity to win a championship when I'm playing. And it's a sentiment that's echoed by other players across the league who hit me up that I'm friends with and want to come or get traded or, come to Green Bay. They want to be a part of an opportunity to win a championship. And that's why I just wanted to make myself available, to have those conversations, to be maybe something that tips it over the edge if you're trying to sign a specific guy. So that wasn't a part of March at all.
If they had shown security or, given you some assurances ahead that you would be here for several years, how would they do that financially, given their salary cap situation and not being in a situation where when you retire, they would be $70 million under the cap? How would you have done that?
Yeah, it's a good question, Spoon. I think there's ways of doing that, through signing bonuses and stuff that can lessen the load for sure. But there wasn't a commitment past 2021. There was conversation about that. I know you guys were all talking about moving salary around through a restructure to open up some cap space for sure. Obviously, with the salary cap going down from the 190s to 182, they had I think everybody's contract who had a contract basically got restructured in some way. It was more just the approach. To not mention anything past 2021 made me feel like that I wasn't in the future plans, which again, I get it, it's a business, you know, and I'm not a victim here. I've made a ton of money here, and I've been really fortunate to play a long time and to play here. At the same time, I'm still competitive, and I still feel like I can play. I proved it last year. So I felt like making a commitment past the 2021 season was not a big deal. And there are ways to do that. That wasn't necessarily accomplished, and so that's why we're here.
Aaron, you said back in March that the team, you basically came to a conclusion that, okay, if you're not going to commit to me beyond the season, like, let's just move on now. The Packers were very steadfast, both publicly and privately to other teams. We're not trading him. Do you want to be here right now?
I do. I love my teammates. I love the city. I love my coaches. You know, it is a lot of fun to be back here. And like I said, I'm competitive. And I realize the type of team that's in place here. It's a team that's has a lot of talent on it. It's been close the last couple of years. So I'm definitely excited about this season. I've had a lot of great conversations over, I'd say, the last 2 weeks with various teammates, past and present. And it's definitely refueled the fire to go out and lead and perform at my best. I felt really good today after a long hiatus, just being back out there and feeling like the rhythm and the timing and the accuracy was where I wanted to be. So I feel really good about being back. It's fun to see a lot of guys to walk in the locker room. You know, it's strange after so many months, but it was fun to see the guys, see the old guys, the trainers, equipment staff, Andy Gruber. I just gave him a hug. I hadn't seen him. He wasn't here all last year. So there's a lot of fun things about being back, and I understand the opportunity that's here.
Aaron, how would you characterize your relationship with Ryan Jenkins, where that is today? And was there ever a point this offseason where you asked for his removal from the show?
No, and I would say it's